Saints fans, I want you to go ahead and subscribe to the fastest growing Saints YouTube channel out there. Honestly, I stuttered because I see so many S's on screen and I don't know what to do. At the end of the day, though, y'all, we keep you up to date. Hopefully you have a good laugh here and there as well. So hit that subscribe really fast. Let's get into the latest Saints news and rumors coming up here on today's show. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports. What we're going to be breaking down is the latest hire of Pete Carmichael here for New Orleans and how this is going to impact their team. We're also going to be looking at the quarterback position, especially Jameis Winston, and maybe what the plan is going forward heading into the offseason. Now, NFL Network's Ian Rapoport, he had this tweet around Pete Carmichael, and it literally was just the news breaking it all down. Important news for the Saints. Pete Carmichael will stay as the offensive coordinator, sources said. The team did several OC interviews but came back with the best option, being on their staff, more continuity in New Orleans for Coach Dennis Allen. So what I want you guys to do right now is just like the video if you're happy with the hiring, or I guess the fact that Pete Carmichael is going to stay as the OC. So if you like the move, I understand that some people might have wanted a different move, but if you're happy with it, I want you to go ahead and like the video. In terms of what you can expect here, and I think one of the biggest reasons why they decided to go with this, safe, and it's a comfortable choice. I know New Orleans is probably going to be undergoing a lot of different things happening with losing head coach Sean Payton, so why not go ahead, you bring in Dennis Allen as your new head coach since he was the DC. You have Carmichael, and you can have a little bit more of continuity. Now, this definitely carries some serious implications for who the top two quarterbacks are going to be. I get the fact they have Taysom Hill, but sorry, I'm not going to roll into next season with Taysom Hill as my top guy. This is what Mike Triplett had to say on Pete Carmichael. Carmichael, 50, was promoted to offensive coordinator in 2009 and called plays in 2011, 2012, and 2016. He was instrumental in designing and developing the Saints' prolific offense alongside Peyton and quarterback Drew Brees, whom he also coached early in Brees' career with San Diego Chargers. Now, I understand what Triplett's saying here, and I don't necessarily agree that, sure, he should get some credit, and a lot of the times, the only people that were ever getting credit were Sean Payton and Drew Brees. And I also get that because, those two were a dynamic duo. But for me, when I think of, okay, if you're going to keep Carmichael, you got to have a checklist. You got to have certain things that he's going to have to do, and he's really got to get it going quickly. You got to revive the offense. I'm not going to sit up here and say New Orleans was the worst offense in the NFL this past season, but they definitely were bottom 5. Now, sure, they had a lot of issues out there. You need to go out and find a solid quarterback, which brings me to my next point, choosing the right quarterback. You can't go out and get any quarterback you want with negative $76 million in dead cap space. So you got to find the right guy, best bang for your buck type of thing, and you have to get a better supporting cast. You got to try to probably replace Teron Armstead at left tackle. You have to go out and get another solid receiver because I'm sorry, I do not believe in Traquan Smith at this point. It's Michael Thomas. It's Alvin Kamara. How can you put more pieces around that offense for whichever quarterback it may be? Now, we are going to our road to 4K. And I'm not talking about 4 like HD. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers. I believe there's only been maybe like 15, 20, that's probably a lie, maybe 20 YouTube channels from Chat Sports that have gotten to 4K. Once you get to 4K, that's when a lot of stuff really gets going around here. I've been here for 4 years, and again, if you can get the 4,000 subs to a YouTube channel, it's a hell of an accomplishment. So if you're a big-time Saints fan, go ahead and hit that sub button. The next story coming up here on Saints Today is around Jameis Winston, and is he actually going to be coming back to the New Orleans Saints? So he spent extensive time with Carmichael trying to just get this offense together, and a lot of QB-needy teams might be interested in going out and getting him. The familiarity should maybe help convince the Saints to go ahead and try to bring Winston back, who he was 5-2 at one point before he ended up tearing his ACL. I actually liked what I saw out of famous Jameis. Now, I get it from a statistical standpoint. He wasn't putting up a lot of yards, but he had 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and they were winning games. And literally, the time he got hurt is when everything fell apart for New Orleans. And you can say what you want about Jameis. His enthusiasm, I definitely think, is contagious, especially inside the huddle. Now, in terms of some teams that I believe could potentially be interested in going out and getting Jameis Winston, who I would have probably as the number one free agent quarterback out there. The New Orleans Saints are a team to come to mind. Could he go back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I mean, Tom Brady just retired. The Pittsburgh Steelers, he could probably fill in very nicely for Ben Roethlisberger. The Houston Texans are an interesting team, though. I don't really think Houston ends up doing it because they have Davis Mills, so I don't really see them being very viable. And then the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are another team absolutely out there that could be interested in going out and getting a quarterback. Now, there's no doubt about it. Winston, he's going to have his options, and it also depends probably on how healthy that knee is, how it's holding up from top to bottom. But if New Orleans is like, hey, man, you want to come back over here? You got Carmichael. We're going to give you $10, $11 million a year. I think that would be enough to at least convince Jameis that, yes, this is the right place to come back to. And then which also leads me to this, because if you're going to talk about Jameis, he's not even on the roster. When New Orleans gave all that money to Taysom Hill, I sat up on multiple chat sports shows and I said, I'm sorry. A lot of Saints fans are going to regret this, and they're going to regret it very quickly. He's got a $12.3 million cap hit this upcoming season, and he's going to remain in the offensive plans as he should be. And anytime you're an athlete, which that's what Taysom Hill is, he is an athlete who can come in here and there when you need him, whether it's at the goal line, whether it's a tough 3rd and 1. I don't want Taysom Hill throwing the ball 10-plus times a game. Honestly, I don't even know if I want him throwing it 5-plus times a game. He's still going to be in the mix. However, when you're paying somebody $12.3 million to basically be a in-the-mix quarterback, it definitely limits your ability to go out and spend big on other positions that you need. So the biggest thing for Taysom is going to be staying healthy this year. Because similar to back what I said earlier of what can Carmichael do, you got to have some flair. You can't just cook a dinner and put no salt or no pepper in it. And that's what the Saints offense was last year. Now, sure, they didn't have the proper ingredients to be able to cook a well-balanced meal, but now what you're hoping is you can go ahead and bring in some of these extra pieces. I mean, when you go ahead and look at all these injuries that Hill had in 2020, he had a Liz Frank injury, and I've never had a Liz Frank injury, but from people who have told me about it, it's super painful. You can play through it. One player has actually told me it felt like they were sticking needles in their feet. He had a torn ligament in his throwing hand, plantar fascia in his foot, and also dealt with a concussion. Now, even though he is currently recovering still from that Liz Frank injury, you're hoping that he's going to be okay when it really comes down to it week 1 of the NFL season, because he absolutely needs to go ahead and, he needs to be able to get in the mix at least a little bit. So here's your opportunity, Saints fans. Do you like having Taysom Hill on the team? Y for yes and for no? I would type my Y for yes because Taysom, from everything I've heard, is a good locker room guy. The issue is the contract, and I'm not going to blame that on Taysom, because if somebody were to be like, hey, Mitch, you want a lot of money? Yeah, hell yeah, I'll take a lot of money. What it really goes down to is the Saints not properly planning for the time where sooner or later you can't just keep pushing money back, which is what you're seeing now. But yeah, I would imagine most people are going to type their Y for yes. Now, coming up here, what you guys are going to see is if you want to be featured in an upcoming mailbag, I've been trying to do a lot more Saints shows for y'all, so if you want, you got to use hashtag Saints down in the comments. So a question could be like, I don't know, hashtag Saints, should New Orleans trade Michael Thomas for a first-round pick? Hashtag Saints, should the Saints trade for Gardner Minshew? Hashtag Saints, should the Saints go sign another quarterback in free agency? That's how I want you to format the questions. So all I'm going to do, producer Trace is going to do, pick out our favorites, and you're going to be featured in an upcoming mailbag.